For anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s, the Baroness is unforgettable. Cold, calculated, the voice that made Cobra Commander nervous. But hidden in the pages of the comics, there was a completely different version of her story. A girl who wasn't born evil, a girl who was broken, and the moment that broke her was a lie she carried for more than 20 years. Larry Hama didn't write a villain. He ended up writing a tragedy. In June of 1982 on G.I. Joe Issue 1, the team's commanding officer pointed to a photograph and gave his soldiers a single warning about the woman in it. Don't ever turn your back on her, not even if she's dead. No origin, no backstory, just a warning. And a name, the Baroness. But here's what Issue 1 never told you. What took Larry Hama 7 years to reveal. The Baroness had a real name. And the girl who owned that name died in a warehouse in Saigon when she was 15 years old. In issue 94 of the Marvel run, Hama finally opened the door he had been hinting at for 7 years. Her real name was Anastasia, and she had been waiting 21 years for a single moment. The year was 1968, the Tet Offensive. Whole sections of Saigon were on fire. A 15-year-old girl was following her older brother into a warehouse in the district of Cholon. His name was Eugen, Baron Eugen de Cobra. He wasn't a soldier. He was a humanitarian, a European aristocrat who had organized a medical relief expedition, medicine, bandages, antibiotics, to be distributed to the civilian population of Cholon, regardless of which side of the war they stood on. He was her idol, the kindest person she had ever known. Neither of them knew they were flying directly into the most violent military offensive of the entire Vietnam War. When they arrived, the warehouse was empty. The medical supplies were gone. The local distributors, men Eugen had trusted for months, arrived shortly after. They had sold the medicine, every last crate, used the money to buy weapons for the cause they believed in. Eugen had spent years crossing war zones to bring medicine to people who had nothing. He couldn't process it. He told them that human lives matter more than any cause. The men disagreed, and they shot him. Outside, Anastasia heard the gunshots. She ran. But she wasn't the only one moving through that building. Another man had been tracking those same distributors for weeks. He reached the warehouse seconds before she did, found 2 men standing over the body of a European aristocrat, put them down. And then Anastasia walked through the door. She saw the overturned medicine crates. She saw her brother on the floor, a masked soldier in an American uniform standing over the body, pistol still raised. She didn't ask questions. She didn't investigate. She just knew. In that moment, Anastasia de Cobra died, and something else was born in her place. The man's name was Snake Eyes. For 21 years, she hunted him. She joined Cobra. She rose to second in command. She became one of the most feared intelligence operatives on the planet. All of it pointed at one man. In 1989, she finally found him. A tip led her to a clinic in Bern, Switzerland, where Snake Eyes was undergoing facial reconstructive surgery. 6 operations to rebuild a face, burned beyond recognition in another war. She stormed the building. She didn't wait for him to wake up. And when Snake Eyes' fiancé, a G.I. Joe soldier named Scarlet, stepped in front of him to protect him, the Baroness shot her in the head. Not out of tactics. She did it because she needed Snake Eyes to feel exactly what she had felt in that doorway in Cholon. 1 month later, New York City, the Baroness had captured Snake Eyes alive, transported him to the sub-basement of the Cobra consulate. Deep beneath Manhattan, built a private torture chamber specifically for him. And here's the part that tells you everything about who she had become. She was doing all of this behind Destro's back. The man she loved. She hid it from him deliberately because she knew he would try to stop her. On the surface, a woman exacting justice. On the inside, still staring at a masked soldier who had never fired. Destro was already watching her, already suspicious, and already carrying a secret he had never told her. A secret from 1968. The G.I. Joe team found the consulate. They went in. Snake Eyes escaped. The entire building went up in flames from the basement to the penthouse. The Baroness was trapped on the roof. When she fell, the man she had spent 21 years trying to kill was the only one close enough to catch her. Snake Eyes pulled her onto a steel girder, suspended over the collapsing building below. She still had a weapon in her hand. He didn't take it from her. And that's when Destro finally told her the truth. Snake Eyes didn't shoot her brother. Destro had been in Saigon that day. He was 12 years old, on a business trip with his father, the head of the McCullen Arms Empire. The business was weapons. The McCullen family had sold a shipment of AK-47 rifles to the same group of men who were in that warehouse, men who had been stealing Eugen's medical shipments to fund their operations, men who pulled the trigger on Eugen to take more weapons and leave no witnesses. And the evidence had always been there for anyone who looked. The Cobra family were among the wealthiest in Europe. When traveling through conflict zones, they always wore custom bulletproof vests. A .45 pistol round, the weapon Snake Eyes was carrying, could not penetrate that vest. The bullet that killed Eugen de Cobra came from a high-velocity AK-47 rifle. Snake Eyes was physically incapable of killing him. 21 years of hatred, built on a single misread image. A masked soldier standing over a body, gun still raised. Real and completely wrong at the same time. Snake Eyes had killed 2 men in that warehouse. The 2 men who had just murdered her brother. She had walked in 30 seconds too late to see it, and too early to understand what she was looking at. She had spent her entire life hunting the wrong man, and the right man had been watching her do it for 2 decades without saying a word. And he had let the woman he loved keep burning. Destro arrived by helicopter to pull her off the roof, but before letting her go, Snake Eyes pressed a note into her hand. He wasn't going to kill her. He wasn't even going to hate her. He wanted her to live, to grow old, to have decades to sit with everything she had built and what it had all been for. Not death, something far worse, the truth, and all the time in the world to think about it. Destro pulled her away. The helicopter lifted into the New York night. This is the Baroness Hasbro never wanted you to know. A woman who spent 21 years hunting a man for a crime he didn't commit. And a man who loved her, knew the truth, had the power to end it all, and chose silence instead. If this story hits you, share it with someone who grew up watching G.I. Joe. And subscribe, because the next video goes straight to the heart of this story. Leave a like, and see you in the next video.